name is Andreas from Hamburg, Germany. And today I want to talk about, not about a company, but about accelerating a whole industry in this field. And I'm really proud to present you a world novelty on stage after years of development and talking to several drone businesses around Germany. When we established a solution with FlyNex to empower aerial industries. What we do is we simply serve the mission to empower companies to operate and utilize drones for the most effective industrial applications. The problem is that whenever you talk about using a drone, it's somehow airspace related, aviation framework related, and most companies don't even know that they actually operate in airspace. And according to all the rules and regulations, the processes of accelerating a business to make it really scale are not there yet. Because sometimes here in Germany, according to the rules and regulations, it takes up to 4 weeks to get your permission granted to take your flights. So your planning cycles at this point in time is pretty long and are not really suitable for making a scalable business on the first hand. The second thing is that once you buy a drone and you qualify a pilot, you need to maintain them and check what qualifications does he have. And every mission is different. So once you look at the operation itself, it differs if you do an agricultural operation, if you do a surveying operation, if you do a security application, if you do an inspection service, and it's all in different industries. So flying a drone is not flying a drone. And being a pilot is not being a pilot. And this really makes it hard for businesses to actually scale again, because they have to maintain all of that, and that produces really high costs for all businesses that want to become a drone service provider. And the third and last thing that we looked at is all we do with drones is, at this point in time, we collect a lot of data. And let's say you do a bridge inspection. You gather the data, and then you look at it, and if you've done a bridge inspection in Germany and flying really close at the standard of DIN 1076, for example, you look at the data and you'll find out, okay, I got gigabytes, terabytes of data to evaluate. So I'm asking you, what drone business at this point in time has the ability to actually do a certified analytics with this data to actually come up with a result that solves the problem of a customer? So how do we deal with the data we collect? Because this is what the customer actually needs from hiring a drone service provider. He doesn't care about how much it is, he wants to get the results. So if you take a look at the operation that we actually face is that you have 3 phases. You have the planning, deal with all the rules and regulations, your aviation framework and whatsoever, and the business needs that you are able to encounter. Then you have the execution, actual flying a project. Are you flying it autonomously? Are you doing it by yourself? Do you hire a pilot? I don't know. And then you have the analytics. So if you take these 3 phases apart, and let's say you collaborate, you come up with a use case that can look like this. The inspection company doing an inspection of a bridge, they're doing the planning, and they'll set the points and tell you where to go. They'll do the evaluation of the airspace, and they provide you with all the data. And they push that to a drone service provider. And let's say, hey, I have a drone company. They have years and years and qualified pilots with experience who actually can fly my project, and their abilities actually suit my business needs. Then that's the pilot I will hire for the operation. And if both companies don't have the abilities to actually do the analytics of the data, they'll need another company. So they actually need to collaborate on getting the operation done and get the best results for the customer. So you get a workflow you can either do in-house if you have all the abilities in your company, or you can out-task every single phase of the operation. So the big question is, how do you participate in the market? And this is all you need to do. You go on our platform, you log in, and then you are able to participate in the market. Because you hook up to FlyNex and you will come up with a dashboard with all the projects in the area you're flying. You have your pilots, you have your drones, you have your qualifications, you have all the data in there for your business needs that actually solve your problems, or the assets you need to target your specific problem. Having an interface, or a dashboard, you also need an interface for doing the planning. And this has to be easy, like I mentioned before. Not everyone can deal with the complex aviation framework, and all these businesses out there are not coming from aviation. They're ground-based businesses and now expanding into a third dimension. So they need an interface they can actually work on, and this is why we develop Map to Fly. Map to Fly is not just a map. What Map to Fly does, it gives you the ability to do the planning without knowing nothing on a drone operation itself. What we have with Map to Fly is not just a tool where we can take a look at what airspace we're in, where is it safe to fly, where are we allowed to fly, what are the rules and regulations. So am I close to an airport? Do I have restrictive zones? Because if you take a look at the operation, it's not so much on what airspace does affect me at a certain height or for a certain operation, because that's actually pretty easy and a lot of companies can do that, and you have maps to look that up. What you actually need to do is you figure out how you do a use-based operation. And finally, the whole industry realizes it's not about the airspace and the level of height you fly in, because you can still apply these rules and regulations. It's about how you manage use-space. So what is use-space? Use-space are the objects on the ground taking the effects to the air. So let's say we have not only the airspace data, you also need the data on the ground. What affects you? So is it roads? Is it power lines? Is it real estate? Is there bridges in the area? And what effects do we have? So everybody now is thinking about use space, and you see that in the rules and regulations. What does apply in my specific area? Is it a rural area? Is it an agricultural area? Two totally different rules and regulations, two totally different environments. So what we do is we make that visual for you in the first site, and you get a pretty colorful map, and you're thinking, okay, this is great, there's a lot of data and it is all colorful, but what we actually do, we can show you on a specific map what affects you, what is in your use space, what affects your operation on the ground, and what rules and regulations do actually apply. So we combine the ground obstacles, ground operations, to airspace and to airspace operations. So what we actually do is we enable everybody who's flying a drone with doing air-to-ground operations. And this is the first phase you need to accomplish to actually manage it to get a scalable business. And every business in this industry needs to do one thing. It needs to earn money, make money, and hopefully make lots of it, because this is what the meaning of business is all about, and that you have to employ people. We have to make a living. So we enable all these companies to actually take a look at it. Where is it safe to fly? And we apply the rules and regulations that affect you in your specific area, and we put it in one device, in one interface, and this is mapped to fly. But it's not just something you can look or check for your specific rules and regulations. It's, like I said, it's an interface to do your planning. The first thing is knowing. Where are you at? What am I allowed to do? What applies for my operation? What are my obligations I have to fulfill? And what is it I actually have to do to make the operation happen? Because the worst thing for a business that can happen is they plan an operation for 4 weeks, and then the administration or the aviation authority is saying, no, you're not flying today, you're canceled. So this is what actually happens with all these businesses out there today. So we let you plan your operation on your specific map. And the stuff you do on paper that now takes you several weeks or days, hours, you just simply do with a couple clicks. And the thing you'd see, we do it with one click and you get a whole risk assessment. Not airspace, U-space. Ground, airspace, obstacles, and all the rules and regulations that apply in these fields. And you get it also with a colorful map, but it's like at an intersection. Is it green? Is it red? Or is it yellow? And what are the obligations you have to apply to change everything in green? So we'll show you that. We'll show you that on the map, and we'll let you plan all the little things you have to take part of. So this is for a bridge inspection, but you'll see there's an industrial complex right next to it, and your actual drone operation would affect this complex. So it's also an issue of safety, like the companies we've been talking before about safety issues. This is a real safety issue if you are able to actually target an operation in a real sensitive area. Because this is also where the money is made. Everyone wants to fly in sensitive areas because this is where the big companies order drone services to do. Chemical areas, industrial areas. What we can also do, and we'll show you that, we'll not only give you the area you fly in, but we can actually target the planning phase on the specific spots with the specific times, and we can actually program your drone for flying an autonomous operation. And this is simply how we do it. We take the same interface, we take the map, and all we change is we hook up the specific data, but we're not planning an area no more, but we're planning a specific flight route. So this is what happens. You just enter the points you want to encounter. Let's say you do a survey in this industrial area and you want to do a 3D model of this pile of rubbish or sand or whatever's in this area. So you check that, you get the safety perimeter that is affected by your operation again, and then you can actually plan your specific spots and define what is happening there. So you can define the height, and you get all the information on the specific spot. So what we can do, if you have the GPS coordinates, through a Mapping protocol, we'll put that on the drone, and you'll stand there with the drone. You have the operation planned in the system. You just let your drone fly autonomously, and the mission is done. When you're able to scale these missions, because you can do it over and over and over again. Of course, another safety issue we put in there is you see the obstacles for this specific operations that are in the area right now. So the ability is, well, everybody heard about geo-caging or geo-fencing. We can do that as well. So it's a tool that actually lets you plan all your operations in a specific area, and you'll get it done by just putting a fence around it. So this is a safety issue we provide as well. You can put on the drone again, so the drone is not able to fly outside of this box. So it still does affect the area, but it's just a tool you can still use for doing something or encountering more safety issues. And what you'll see here is this is all the data we have in there. There's plenty of them. Most of them surface. So just to realize, to make sure, it's not only airspace, it's U-space. And we have all that. Map to Fly will be available on April 7th. So for Germany, with all the data in there. So you can go on maptofly.com on April 7th and check for all the rules and regulations that apply to your specific area, and then you'll start doing your missions from there. But as I mentioned, to build a scalable drone business, it's not about only having a map or a planning tool. It's nice to have, but it's also about how you enable a business to earn money. So we're in business operating system. And what we do is we connect the map to many functionalities that are in there right now. Let's say you want to manage your drone, so it's like a management platform. You can manage your drone. We have all the drones that are out there on the market right now that are in there in the platform. You just enter, let's say, DJI, and you like your Phantom 3, whatever you bought, whatever you use for your operation, you put it in there and add them to your account of the business. And what we actually can provide is not only the database for the drone or for the pilot or for whatever, but the database for the registration. Because this is an issue we heard before that enables safety and is also a must-have if the governmental associations tell you registration will be mandatory. So we are a flexible management tool to get all the stuff in there. And you can also do, if you provide your own drone, if you say, hey, I have a certification from Lufthansa Technik of my own drone, nobody knows of in the world, you can put in there as well. Or you can just hook up to the database, put it on there, and then you're good to go. And what you have is you have all your assets already in one place to plan. And these assets actually reflect on all the stuff you do in the project and do on the map. Because the map depends on what pilot you use, what operation you actually are doing with what assets. So this is a thing that we make sure. One thing we put in there for Germany, specifically for Germany, is how do you get approval from the authorities at this point in time to fly your mission? And in Germany, this is done by paper. And you have 16 different countries, and every country has different forms. And you fill that out, and you need to fill that out, and you have to go there and get get your approval from the property owner. So what we did, we have a project planning tool that not only lets you plan the operation, but everything that's around and affecting your operation to make it able to scale and fly. And you come up with a plan of the project. And what we do, we automatically get the papers ready with some simple clicks. You can send that to the authority, so you will actually reduce the time of planning for your specific business operation. An important thing, if you do the planning to get a scalable workflow, is that you can connect now these phases I talked earlier about. You connect and you say, okay, how do I enable an analytic company to process my data? If I have everything in here, well, the analytics company should be in here as well. So you take the project and you just add another company to the project. Simple as that. And you can define the role and say, okay, I just want you guys to do the analytics. And you'll get the schedule. And if you take a look at another company, and I change the account, and you'll see this company doesn't have any projects because they're not a drone company. But what we'll do is once the operation is finished and the project is ready to be processed, the analytics company will get the data of the project. So this is processed, of course, through the cloud. So you define who's in your project, who's the pilot, who's the analytics company, and how do we make it scale. This makes it easy for the companies to participate in the market because they can focus on their key competence and their key abilities that they have. If you take a look, this company doesn't have any drones in there. All they get is to take a look at the project and all the documentation that was done with the project. But most importantly, they'll just access the data, process them through their own system, and actually send them back to the company or to the customer. What we can do with that, with the whole system itself, if I take a look at the process of scaling a business, of making a business earn money, we have an endless scope of getting operations done, because you can also take a look at what's going on in your airspace. So it's also a tool not to manage your drone project, but to manage simultaneous project at the same time. And you can see what is planned, what's coming up, and what is done, so you get the historic data. You can also get this data from an aviation authority like Lufthansa just said about incident reporting. So you get a history of what's going on in your airspace, in your use space, and you can actually make that, take a look at it. You get the airspace used, and you find all the projects that are planned and that are going on right now. So this is an ability we can connect different users on the market to take a look at what's going on and what is really affecting them. So it's also a part of UTM. So to show you the advantage of what we built is that with FlyNex, you can do the same stuff you've been doing in ours with several tools we all put in one solution. And we not only save you the operating time and the costs, we ensure the compliance, we also ensure safety, and we also enable these companies that will use the service to increase the quality of the service they offer, and we help them to simply make more money and to scale their business. So this is what it's all about. To participate in a market with this solution, you don't necessarily need an experience in aviation. You don't need an own drone or a fleet or even a pilot. And you don't necessarily need engineering expertise to analyze your data. You just focus on what you can do best and connect them and collaborate across the industry with different solutions. And this all starts at 20 euros a month for a company, say single drone company, doing some aerial photography, manage all the system, 20 months in there, and he'll definitely make more money. What we can also do and what we're looking for is we can cooperate in partnerships with manufacturers, with training facilities, with law enforcement. And there's tons of application we make possible. So we're not only focusing on the solution right now, we're also thinking ahead and thinking, okay, what other problems can we solve with the solutions together with different partners from all these fields? So we're open for tons of new solutions, and we're able to address a lot of more problems to come up in this industry here in Germany and in Europe. So this is FlyNex accelerating the whole industry. We put it up to empower aerial industry, so thank you very much.